If you're a manager and you feel like you're drowning right now, I already know why. It's not because you're weak, and it's not because you can't lead. You're drowning because you're buried in the tasks that you should have been delegating and skills that you should have been training months ago. And every time the pressure hits, training gets bumped so you can fix the problem fast. That's the trap. The most common thing I hear from leaders is, I don't have time to train my people. And I get it. Training has a high upfront cost. But here's the deal. Training costs time upfront and gives you massive long-term gain. Doing it yourself has low upfront costs, but it keeps you trapped in your drowning mode forever. If you want your workload to shrink, your team has to grow. I'm Joseph Shedd, and I've led teams in high-stakes environments in the U.S. Navy for over 19 years. And I'll tell you this straight. If you don't build capability on purpose, you will burn out your best people, cripple your organization's growth, and become the bottleneck for everything. And now AI is changing how fast work can move. So if you're not developing talent, you're falling behind. By the end of this video, you'll have a hybrid talent development system you can start using tomorrow. I'll teach you how to recruit for potential, traditional methods that still win, AI learning paths that speed development without losing standards, lateral rotations that build bench depth fast, and how to avoid the curse of the competent. Let's build talent. Here's what's actually happening in a lot of teams. There are fires, sure, but the real issue is that training keeps getting bumped. So leaders end up doing what feels responsible in the moment. They step in, they fix it, and they push through, and then they carry the load. But that creates the most toxic situation in any organization, the curse of the competent, where 10% of the people end up doing 90% of the work. And those top performers, they don't leave because they hate the mission. They leave because they get used and abused. They become the permanent solution instead of the standard. Let me make this real. One of the most intense talent development environments is getting ready to deploy on a ship. We get new watchstanders on board, sometimes late into the cycle, and we have to build capability quickly. And it's not basic training. They have to learn their roles and responsibilities, how to operate those consoles, how to make reports, and all of the little nuances and details that keep everything running. If we don't train them properly, here's the consequence. We can't stand as many watch stations on deployment. That means people get less sleep. Fatigue goes up and burnout happens fast. And worst case scenario, people die. So we don't gamble with good enough. We run practice scenarios over and over until people are proficient. That's what talent development looks like when it matters. This is the system. Traditional fundamentals using AI for acceleration. Not one or the other, because AI can speed things up, but fundamentals build people who don't break under pressure. If you want a strong team, stop hiring only for experience and start selecting for potential. Here's what I look for. I look for initiative. Are they asking for more responsibility? Are they volunteering? Next, ownership. When I give them something, do they take 100% ownership? Or do they need babysitting? Because if I can delegate something to you and I don't have to micromanage, that's a huge signal you're ready for the next level. Here's some dead giveaways that someone isn't ready. They have excuses, no follow through, and they produce subpar products. If you don't produce results and you're full of excuses, you're not ready. Plain and simple. And here's a question I ask that reveals potential immediately. Where do you want to be in the organization? Or where do you see yourself in 5 years? If they can articulate it clearly, they're thinking long-term and they're already in a growth mindset. These are the strongest traditional methods I've used for over 2 decades. First up is qualification cards. These are structured mastery. People need structure. Qualification cards create a clear path of what qualified looks like. Next is hands-on training with reps. You can't build confidence without reps. You need to touch the equipment. You need to run that process. Next, we use boards to validate standards. After the quals, we validate readiness with a board, not to intimidate people, to protect standards and ensure that trust remains intact. Next, introduce checklists. Remove confusion. I build checklists so there's no question how it needs to be done. If you want consistent performance, you need a consistent process. Next is small reps with direct feedback. When I develop leaders, I give them reps based on how much experience they have. Then I coach them throughout the process, not just at the end. Feedback during the reps builds leaders fast. Next, let's talk about how onboarding is done right. When someone comes into the organization, I link them up with a sponsor or running mate for 6 months to a year. We make sure that they arrive safely, they know where to go, their family's being taken care of, and they feel connected to our organization early. Then that first week, we introduce them across the entire organization from the top down so they understand the team and the culture immediately. That's how you speed up performance and retention at the same time. This is one of my favorite talent multipliers, and I do it consistently. If a boss is gone, I rotate the next person up to get experience at that level. If I'm gone, I rotate someone in that wants to be in my position one day. Why? Because it builds depth on the bench. If someone takes leave, transfers, or something unexpected happens, it's not an all-stop loss. We've built the depth. Plus, it boosts confidence, builds morale, and gives you real performance evidence for evaluations and those promotions. And the fastest way I've ever seen real people level up quickly, owning a project end to end. Not just a small task, the whole outcome. That challenge forces growth. If you stay comfortable, you lag behind. If you continuously challenge yourself, you level up faster. Now, here's where AI fits into the talent system. AI should be used for drafting, summaries, checklists, organizing those thoughts, and cleaning up admin work. Here's an example. I use voice to text and AI to organize my notes and thoughts fast, and it has reduced my administrative workload by about 90%. And that gives me back time to do what matters, and that's leading, training, and mentoring people. And that's the point. AI helps coordinate and clarify, but a human always makes the final decision. Look, if leaders aren't learning AI now, they're going to fall behind in how much they can accomplish in a day. I look at AI like another employee that I can delegate to. What can I give AI so I can carry less and lead better? If you want talent development to work, you need standards. And here's some of my standards. Communicate the status of projects early and often. Don't bring me surprises at the deadline. If you're behind, you have to say it before we arrive. Bring the fix, not just the problem. My biggest pet peeve is showing up at the deadline and finding out it's not done, with zero communication. That's how trust gets destroyed. Remember, talent development has a high upfront cost, but a massive long-term potential to increase the capability of your organization. If you don't develop talent, you cripple the growth of your organization. And if you want the key that makes all of this work, you need accountability, because without accountability, it's just chaos. So your next step after this video is my accountability blueprint. Accountability is the great equalizer of leadership. Go watch that next. Subscribe if you lead people and you want systems that actually work. I'll see you in the next one. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.